What's up, football family? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, PL Coulter. It's week 7, everybody. We're halfway through the fantasy football regular season, and this week we're going to focus on the wide receiver position. Now, this week there are several stud wide receivers that will be out due to either injury or bye week. So if you're looking for a stretch play or a waiver wire pickup, don't worry, I got you hooked up. All right, so let's get started. Now, Week 7's fantasy football stud from the wide receiver position will be Mr. Terrell Owens, T.O. himself of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, T.O. will be bringing his 15.4 yard per catch average into the Georgia Dome to take on an Atlanta Falcons defense that is banged up and struggling in the secondary. Now, this same defense gave up 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns of over 30 yards plus to the Philadelphia Eagles last week. Now, as a side note, you want to throw in the fact that T.O. currently resides in Atlanta and is always looking for that stage to show out for the quote-unquote locals. Now, he generally does play well in the Georgia Dome, and I look for that to continue this week. What that means for you T.O. owners would be 125 plus yards and a touchdown, possibly 2 if the game turns into a shootout. Now, if you're having some injury issues or some bye week issues at the wide receiver position and you're looking for a waiver wire play this week, you may want to start taking a look at Patrick Crayton, a wide receiver of the San Diego Chargers. Now, Crayton is coming off his season best performance last week of 117 yards receiving. He also benefits from playing on the league's #1 offense and playing with quarterback Phillip Rivers. Now, the matchup in itself favors Crayton, as well as they'll be taking on the New England Patriots with a high-octane passing game of their own with Tom Brady and the plethora of wide receivers they have there. So this looks like another shootout to which Crayton should be able to match and even surpass the 117 yards he had last week, simply because there's so many injuries to the wide receiver position in San Diego. There's not much of a choice but for him to get those opportunities. So take a look at Crayton. Also, you may want to take a close look at Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant. Now, Avant will be filling in for injured receiver Deshaun Jackson. We all saw last week him take that vicious hit and leave the game with a concussion against the Falcons last week. Of course, he won't be back this week, and the Eagles have maybe a bad matchup on paper game plan-wise, but they're still taking on a Tennessee Titans defense that's 27th against the pass and giving up passing yards. So that also bodes well for Avant to be a solid bye week plug-and play for you. Now, if you're really desperate, you may want to take a flyer on St. Louis Rams receiver Danario Alexander. Now, I'm sure plenty of you are saying, who's that? Now, Alexander, he's an undrafted rookie free agent. He actually played for Missouri last year and actually led the nation in receiving yards. So he does have the chops to get it done. The reason why you may not have heard of this guy is because he was just promoted from the practice squad last week and stepped right in for an injured Mark Crayton and hauled in 4 catches for 72 yards, including a 38-yard touchdown. So with Crayton being out for the remainder of the year and Laurent Robinson not being effective and having his own injury issues, you may want to look at Alexander to be a solid play this week and monitor him for the next couple of weeks. He may be a solid play going forward if the Rams remain competitive in the NFC West. Now, we'll move on to our favorite segment, which would be our Homer Alert. Now, if this is your first time watching the show, shame on you. If you're not aware of what the Homer pick is, the Homer is one of your top 2 round picks that you play week in and week out, regardless of the matchup, because of who they are and where you drafted them. Now, this week's Homer Alert player will be Mr. Miles Austin of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know Austin lit up the New York Giants last year, but last week he's coming off one of his worst performances as a Dallas Cowboys starter. And this week, it may not get much easier because the Giants are holding opposing quarterbacks to less than 180 yards passing. Also, you want to take a look at the fact that they have 21 sacks on the year already, and they're going up against a Cowboys offensive line that has been injured and absolutely dreadful all season long. Tony Romo has been running for his life. He's going to hit that treadmill again on Monday night and be running for his life again. Their best key to victory as a team will be the short passing game, dinking and dunking down the field. Now, while that may be a key for a team win, from a fantasy football perspective, that's an absolute nightmare for Austin owners. That dink and dunk style of play tends to benefit from a production standpoint more the likes of Roy Williams, Felix Jones out of the backfield, and Jason Witten. So, of course, you may not be able to, from a depth chart wise, bench Austin this week, but you definitely want to temper your expectations. I'm looking at 50 yards catching and no touchdowns for Mr. Austin. All right. Now, I hope that helps you get your team lineup set for tomorrow. Good luck to each and every one of you for week 7. Always remember that life's a sport, so always play to win. It's your boy PL. I'm out. God bless.